And before we get started, I just wanted to mention that the channel is supported and sponsored by Frontline Gaming. And if you need any 40K product at 15% MSRP, definitely go down to the link in the description, click it, and I'll take you over to their web store. And for the continental US, any orders over $100 are free shipping as well, that's pretty cool. And when you do that, I get a small kickback to the channel, and I really appreciate it. So let's hop in and talk about some GSC now that we have all the rules. Alright, welcome back everybody. And we finally seen everything that there is to see for the release of 10th edition for Genestealer cults. And I can only describe the points, not just Genestealer cult points, but basically everybody's as wild. And I think a GW intern on a cocaine bender late at night did some of these points. 270 points for a Wraith Knight, seems good. 160 points for our Neophyte Bricks of 20 with all free weapons. Maybe not as good as a Wraith Knight, but still wild. A Manicore, I think, is 105 points, while Lemon Russ is like 200. Seems balanced. But obviously, these all, we got all the rules for free. We got all the points for free. So this is just like the beta test version of 10th edition. We are testing the game right now for GW to come out with the codexes and tweak the rules. Hopefully, the codexes aren't like already printed with what GW thinks the game will look like in 6 months, and when they come out, kind of like Votan in 9th edition, we look at the codexes and be like, this is Warhammer not now, this is Warhammer 6 months ago Warhammer, and we're not here for it. So hopefully they've learned from that, and when the codexes come out, we'll see that maybe they're digital releases. Come on GW, you can do it, I know you can, along with a book, and they update them kind of like they're going to update these data cards. They said maybe they'll update these data cards based off the codex. That would be cool. I don't know. They're just not going to get rid of the codex because they have a publishing house and it brings them in money, but it just is tying them down and slowing down the rules process basically. So we'll see how it goes. But for now, I mean, the game's wide open. We don't know what's good except Eldar, obviously. So anything could be awesome. I played 2 games last night against Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights with my GSC. And, I wanted to record a video just with my initial thoughts. Like, I'm not going to go over the list I took because it literally was written in my car before I walked into the game store. I don't think it was anything anybody needs to copy. But just my initial thoughts and how GSC can play. I'll just start out with saying, like, I think we're going to be super, super competitive, but also, like, I guess I'll put it this way. There's going to be a high ceiling for this army for high skilled players. And there's going to be a super low floor for this army that you're just going to get tabled. I know we can even respawn stuff, but you'll get tabled multiple times, I think. And you're going to think this army is garbage. And the way we, not play at that garbage stage, I think, is using all these layered buffs that come in from the unit's data sheets, as well as the enhancements that we can take, and from the strats at the correct times with the correct units deep striking down or hopping out of our trucks at the right time into the right targets while still scoring primary, and that's going to give us the mission wins that we're going to feel like a genius playing this game. So my first game against the Imperial Knights, I guess the big takeaway I had was like CP in this version of the game, you just don't have enough of it, or as you have enough. I think it's a good change, but you don't have the CP that you think you do. So I was running a couple squads of 10 acolytes with hand flamers and trucks, because when you hop out of the truck now, you can move the truck, hop out of the truck after it moves now, and anything that hops out of the truck gets rerolls to wound, just full wound rerolls. So with hand flamers, with some strats, you can get extra AP with a strat. If a Ridge Runner targets that target the hand flamer shooting, that will stack with AP, so you can also have AP2 hand flamers, rerolling wounds out of a truck. And if you spend 2 CP on those 2 units that hopped out of the truck into one target, now you're talking about +1 a wound, plus 2 AP, rerolling to wound hand flamers. And I was like killing little baby knights with that combo. The problem with the combo is it's 3 CP, unless you have a Nexus in there somewhere. And I don't think a Nexus needs to be in Acolytes that are out there in a truck that are going to die immediately. So I do it turn 1, and I like murdered a baby knight by a ton, more than I needed to. And then I realized that's I'm never going to be able to do that again in the game. I get 1 CP per command phase, and then if I'm lucky and my neophytes are on objectives, I can grab another. And I just, you want to spend it on not being targeted for the stratagem. You want to spend it on other stuff. Other units are now coming down. So that was my big wombo combo, and I basically wasted it turn 1. So it's a cool combination, but just really, really pay attention to when you use that 3 CP drop. And some things that can help it, like I said, is the Nexus. He is 50 points of you start your list with a Nexus. For me, he was in 20 Neophytes with 4 Mining Lasers and 4 Webbers. I'll talk about the Neophytes a little later and how I think they could be kitted out. And he was amazing. They would come down, a little further away from my enemy, but still within 24, but it's a squad of 20, and on Overwatch, typically, like, torrent weapons aren't 24 inches, so you're not going to get to hit them if I put them far enough away. And if you do Overwatch with something that's not torrent, there's 20 dudes in the unit, I'll kill some autogun guys. So he comes down and lets you use that 2 CP strat for +1 a wound on 2 units for free. Now, the order of operations is important here, because if you want to use that strat on 2 other separate units first, you have to spend the 2 CP, do that first, and then the Nexus's wording is he can target his own unit with a stratagem that you've already even used for 0 CP. So if you did it on the Nexus first, you've already used it, and no other units in your army can use it. So just make sure if you're trying to do that little combo of 4 units are getting +1 a wound, you do it on the 2 that don't have the Nexus first, and then the Nexus and whatever else you would like. And he really, really buffed the Neophytes and some hand flamers that usually would come down with them with that +1 a wound. And really was just deleting whatever they came in with. Another combo I really like is the Acolytes with demo charges for 1 CP coming down 3 inches away. The demo charges at D6 plus, 3? Yeah, +3, so you get +12 if you have 4 of them in the unit. Strength 12, AP2, 2 damage is awesome. Again, you can stack the buffs from our strats on there, but you keep me hear me say that, obviously you're going to run out of CP. You really got to choose where those buffs are going to be going. So, like, that would come down 3 inches away from something, and typically I would try to bait out my opponent's Overwatch. That's not a unit you want to be Overwatched, and if it's coming 3 inches away, just make sure there's no torrent weapons around, because you might not have those 4 demo charges to throw after some Overwatch. But they would toss into, like, did 12 wounds to a big knight, just tossing those demo charges, and that was like not a good roll, I think. And then my mining lasers finished them off. It's just so much damage that you can pile on there that your opponent just can't really stop. Like, screening out 3 inches is very, very tough. But again, it costs that very, very important resource of CP that you just do not have enough of. Next, for another good thing that I really, really liked, 20-man Neophytes are hilarious. Even with, when I was playing the Chaos Knights, every single Chaos Knight had an indirect gun on the back, basically, and that just didn't kill 20 Neophytes hiding behind a wall, even with just, -1 to hit, and they get just a 4-up save from the cover. And then you're getting D3 +3 back as long as they're on an objective. You can kind of pop out of a wall with just your mining lasers, shoot those. Yeah, they hit on 5s, that kind of sucks. But you'll get 4 shots. And then once your opponent shoots at them, kill those 4, then you're inside again. No one can see you after that first unit shot. But then I would also find myself spending that 1 CP. I'd have one 20-man brick on the board of neophytes like that, and just saying 1 CP, you can't target these guys unless you're within 12. Now your opponent does get to, per the rules commentary, once they targeted that unit, they can't target them once you spend the CP, but they can pick another target. So it's not turning off a unit's fire, which would have been ridiculous. So you can have neophytes out in the open, untargetable against a shooting opponent, which is really, really helpful for us in scoring the primary, for sure. So some of the weaknesses, I think, obviously our durability is a huge issue, and a lot of people are making a big stink, I guess, about the blips, and the blips are very good mechanic, but it just lets us play a 5-turn game. Without the blip mechanic, GSC would be tabled unless you're playing very, very cagey, very, very maybe a bunch of aberrant build, which I don't know how much I love them just because their offensive output isn't super high into vehicles and stuff that you might need to kill. But if you're playing a bunch of battle line units, you're not staying on the board without those blips. And the blips, for me, my opponent was able to take away a couple from moving in with the faster war dog units. I found you got to put them back in your deployment zone to be safe, in corners that your opponent of the battlefield just isn't in some ruins or something like that. And then the units can cause problems, but more importantly, they can just score you secondary points. So you're always going to be able to score the mission, I feel like, because you're going to have units on the table, after you wait that turn, one of your opponent's turns, that other armies just can't place. So I think for mission-wise, the blips are going to be super, super huge. But a lot of offensive output, I didn't really see that from the units coming back from the blips. And then a cool combo with the blips is once you're at the end of your opponent's reinforcement step, you get to put that unit on the table from blips. Hopefully they're hidden in there, they're there and safe and not being shot. And then at the end of your opponent's turn, you can spend 1 CP. You can put 2 battle line units back up into reserves in Deep Strike and come down your next turn in maybe a more advantageous spot. And that is going to cost you the CP. Again, you keep, all our CP stuff is so good, so you just got to plan this stuff out. So if it's towards the end of the game, maybe save that CP, or you're going to gain that 1 CP in your command phase to use to pull them up from the blip and then put them back down. So it happens at the end of your opponent's turn, so actually you're going to have to save a CP. You won't get one unless it's in your opponent's command phase, which you've saved. So keep in the back of your mind that you need that for at the end of their turn. What else? I guess my last point will be holding the primary is kind of tough for us. I took a really, really super skewed shooting list. Close combat feels real bad, I guess, so far in this edition. Even Aberrants at strength 8, yeah, that's real good into all Marines. Any infantry, that's pretty good with their flat damage 3. But as soon as your opponent drives a vehicle into them, or walks a walker into them, or a knight, that strength 8 is winning on 5s. And unless they have a character helping them out to get the lethal hits, that's still only on 6s. It's tough to peel tougher things like that off of an objective. And we're so fragile, it's tough for us to stick on the objectives. So I think we're really going to have to focus on using that 1 CP strat to not be targeting and shooting. And then if any close combat comes, using that Overwatch stratagem from our hand flamers with some piled on buffs to kind of keep people away. So that's just my overall quick thoughts of just playing 2 games at GSC. I'm really pumped to play some more, just to refine my list and see how I can lean into more things. I definitely want to try out the Jackal's Mortal Wounds. I think that's going to be really cool. I worry about how fragile they are, but just doing it a couple times would be, I think, enough. But I don't know if I want to spend 230 some points with the 10 and the Alphas in there to do that. But I'll definitely give it a try. I did a lot of hand flamers because I wanted them hopping out of the trucks with the reroll wounds. But I want to try more demo charges just because I think they were hilarious. and they're good into any target, and they just get so many shots. And I even forgot, like, when I come down, you get sustained hits, and I just completely, trying to track everything else in the new edition. After I shot, I was like, crap, I forgot that. But they're supposed to be even better. What else? Genestealers, I think, are really, really interesting with the Patriarch. It's just very expensive for a unit that, like, is going to do something, especially if you go first, because they can advance and charge. But it's so many points again, like the Aberrants. Like, they're going to go out there and do something and then die. So whatever they do, if your opponent screens it out, you're going to feel real sad. So everybody, thanks for listening, and that'll be it for this video. I just wanted to get to my thoughts in of my first 2 GSC games. If you guys have already had a chance to play, definitely let me know in the comments about some combos that are working for you, and how you're making it work and how your games went. I know, like, there's just so many different ways you can play this army. There's so many different combos of how to make things work that, if we all share our knowledge, we'll just get better, and, we'll be the #1 army out there. Thanks for listening, and good luck in your games.